Hey everyone, and welcome to a brand new video of my voice. I can't speak English, help! Hey everyone, and welcome to a brand new video of my voice again. So actually I wanted to make a video where I could casually talk about Dance Central. And then I posted on my community page that if you guys have any ideas, you can share them with me. And then someone wrote that I could explain the Dance Central story to non-Dance Central fans. You know, the ones who are not familiar with the series at all. And I kind of wanted to make a video where I could talk about the lore of the franchise because no one here on YouTube did it or doesn't even know it has lore. And let me tell you that Dance Central has lore. The lore itself pretty much revolves around the characters in the series, and there are some who has like the entire background, but we will get into that a little bit later. So at first I want to explain what Dance Central is all about, the story, the characters, and other stuff. You know, just the basics, and then we will go down to the details. Sounds good? Okay, good. Let's go. So, Dance Central is a dancing video game franchise. The gameplay is about following the dancers' moves on the screen like a mirror reflection. The franchise at the moment has 5 games, and each one has provided tons of features that we all loved and enjoyed. Well, maybe not this one. So Dance Central 1, 2, and 3 were pretty much exclusive to Xbox 360 and the Kinect. Dance Central 1 provided lots of amazing choreos, timeless tracklist, challenges, and a practice mode where you could practice and master the routines. Dance Central 2 provided co-op gameplay, crew challenges, which is like a story mode where you meet a bunch of different crews, nice tracklist, and improved practice mode. Dance Central 3, however, had offered a story mode where we time travel through different crazes in order to learn the dances from the past to defeat the final boss. Yes, I mean the one who is threatening us with Macarena. As these 3 games were pretty much loved by the fans, these 2 not so much. Next we have Dance Central Spotlight. Let's say this game is something else. Okay, so this game is the only game that came out on Xbox One, and it is the only game that has been completely stripped down from the previous games. It doesn't even have a story mode, and listen, it's hard to find any information about this game on the internet. So eventually there might be some fan theories and speculations when we are going to talk about Dance Central Spotlight. But I wanted to let you guys know that the section about this game won't be that long. And next we have Dance Central VR, a game where you could dance literally in front of the characters, take selfies with them, and even play online. Until January 2023, as the servers were shut down and the game got vanished to the void. However, it delivered really nice choreos, decent tracklist, story, and lore. Yes, Dance Central VR has lore too. We will get into that later. So as we got the basics covered, now we can deep dive into the Dance Central universe. The Dance Central universe takes place in a modern metropolis. The map of the city consists of the industrial area, the downtown, the DCI headquarters, the metro station area, the beach, and the small area that is not labeled. But perhaps it could be the mini golf zone. In Dance Central 1 and 2, we discover the depths of the metropolis where the characters can dance. In Dance Central VR, we can experience it in person. However, in Dance Central Spotlight, we cannot choose the venues because they are just somehow randomized, but we can see some aspects of the metropolis, such as the industrial area, the zoo, and the airport. In Dance Central 1, the dancers are teenagers who like dancing and hanging out at night. All of them gather at the party to have fun. Even though Dance Central 1 doesn't have a story mode unlike the other Dance Central games, minus Dance Central Spotlight, it has an opening sequence that introduces us to the dancers. The first dancer we see is Mo paint spraying the Dance Central symbols on a blank billboard on the rooftop of the skyscraper. Then the flyers fly around as he jumps off the building and lands on the moving train. Mo is a charismatic, outgoing person who is confident in his abilities as a dancer and occasionally enjoys showing off. He often plays pranks and jokes around people. Despite usually being humble, he sometimes tries to be an unauthentic version of himself in order to impress people, particularly friends and people who has a romantic interest in. However, when he receives negative feedback as a result of these behaviors, he recognizes wrongdoings and corrects himself. The noise of Mo's landing caught the curiosity of the other dancer, MacCoy, who was hanging upside down on the railing. Then he opened the train doors while it was still moving to see what happened. Though he couldn't see Mo on the roof of the train, he caught one of the flyers with the Dance Central symbols on it. McCoy likes to present himself as cool and charismatic. He is a fan of old-school hip-hop, frequently incorporating slang from its culture into his speech. He is also an aspiring DJ who aims to gain more recognition. He likes to use his knowledge and skills in an attempt to impress those around him, especially in order to romance women. However, his attempts come often off with a corny sensibility that makes him seem childish instead. Despite this, he is very genuine and positive, giving warm and comical feedback when critiquing others. He lives with his grandmother who raised him and has Ukrainian roots.
Rocking it out and bringing it to you old school like you never... Oh, Grandma! I'm trying to talk here. Come on!
This time, Mo is riding on a skateboard around the city, spreading the flyers everywhere. He puts one of them on a pole and spray paints the wall as he keeps riding on a skateboard on the sidewalk. He notices Tay as she starts lip-syncing and dancing on the street. Tay presents herself with lots of bold attitude. She says stuff the way she sees it and does not hold back in expressing it. She used to attend tap dance classes because of her mother, but she didn't like it. Then we take a look at the other dancer, Angel, who's driving the car. Angel is a suave, sophisticated Latin lover with a charming appeal. He has a strong interest in courting women and often goes out of his way to impress them. In one of his voicemails, where he speaks in Spanish, he claims to have less money when it comes to paying for dates. Despite his outfits where he may seem to be rich, he has Puerto Rican roots.
Hey, hola, it's Angel. If you're calling because you want to go out, that's cool, but you gotta pay though. Cause I be más pelado que la jodida de un cabro, you know?
Then we see they're dancing through the car's sunroof while in the back seat, Miss Aubrey is talking on the phone with Amelia. Then Miss Aubrey hung up and she kicked Dare's butt, and in response she got mad. Dare is a girl who likes to party all night long and has a carefree attitude overall. She is very confident in her abilities as a dancer, yet friendly to those who impress her with their dancing skills. She has a bright, vibrant style and likes to make her own clothes. She is also British because of her accent.
Yeah, gotta make it look really good. Your girl Dare, rocking it right, all day, all night.
Miss Aubrey is a sophisticated and confident person who believes others should admire her, especially for her dance skills. She often comes off as snobby and arrogant, causing many people to dislike her. She has high standards for others and is easily dismissive of people who she feels do not meet them. Meanwhile, Amelia was at the gym punching the boxing bag, and after one strong punch, it fled out of the window. Amelia is an athletic girl with a winning attitude. She is very driven in what she does and expresses in a bold, loud manner. She has some compassion, but it is usually not seen from a jump, where it is overshadowed by her winning attitude of pride and tenacity. Next, we see a shadow figure of another dancer, Oblio, who is looking at the Dance Central graffiti that was made by Mo before he jumped off the building. Then he rides off on his motorcycle and jumps into the air. He can be seen from far away as we are back to the dancers in the car again, who are chilling and jamming while they ride to the party. Oblio is frequently described as mysterious and fervent. He wants to express himself through his art, but struggles to be understood. He often does not have much to say, but when he does speak, his words are virtuous and noble. He has a unique speech pattern of long, frequent pauses in between statements. He typically does not take interest in partying and prefers solitude. However, this is not always the case. He has a more outgoing and expressive side to him as well.
Leave a message for Oblio. I will return your call when I become available.
At the set party, everyone gathers and dances together, but then Oblio arrives at the party on his motorcycle, and then he takes his helmet off, and that's it, the Dance Central logo appears. After the intro, we just normally played the game. In Dance Central 1, there are challenges. Each dance routine has its own difficulty level based on how hard the dance is. This game has 7 difficulties that are categorized, and each difficulty has its own challenge that can be unlocked if we finish all songs from a certain difficulty. Challenges are basically recaps of songs in one mix. After we accomplish these 7 challenges, we get the grand final challenge, where we have to dance a certain amount of songs from the tracklist. When we face the challenge for the first time, we encounter a new dancer, Elliot, who is a robot. After we finish the challenge, we get an outro cutscene. Elliot is a robot who believes he is a real human. Elliot is friendly and shows a lot of enthusiasm. He takes pride in what he does and does not hide his talent from others. He stresses that he does the same things humans do and makes sure to stress it immensely for others to believe him. The reason of behavior is unknown, but it is apparent. Elliot is the acronym of Excessive Live Information Overload Tracker. The outro can be triggered when the player finishes the grand final challenge for the first time. When done promoting the club, Mo goes to the phone booth and picks up the phone, and hears a representative for the club on the other line. After putting the phone back, the platform underneath him lowers, taking him to the club. The club is later revealed to be Dr. Tan's estate. While most of the dancers who attended are partying, Oblio is sitting against the wall alone. He eventually leaves the club on his motorcycle, and then the scene is rewound and down on one of many screens that are being monitored by Dr. Tan. Intrigued by what he is seeing, he turns off the rest of the screens, smirks, and laughs hysterically. Before we move on to the next Dance Central game, I want to make a quick shout out to the other character, and I'm talking about the pink ninja that can be unlocked by a cheat code. He has Oblio's animations, but he doesn't speak, but groans from time to time. He just appears as an Easter egg. He is a hidden character who is unlocked by entering a cheat code at the title screen using an Xbox 360 controller. When a cheat is entered, he becomes the default dancer for every song. Later in Dance Central 2, the dancers become adults and they want to keep dancing as their main thing, which is why dance crews started to form. Dance crews can be formed through acquaintances or by bringing a family member in. They have their own themes, colors, places to dance, and most importantly, crew cards. Each crew card has a logo of the crew, and it's the most valuable item that the dancers can give to the ones who deserve to represent their crew. Dance crews were very beneficial because they could participate in dance battles and also for missions. Dance Central 2 has crew challenges, which is some sort of like a story mode, but basically there you meet the dance crews in the city. The player's mission is to dance to one of the songs that were labeled specifically for certain crews, impressing them by earning 5 stars on the songs. Once the player has completed several songs, the final challenge is unlocked, and each challenge song will be defined if you're proven to represent the crew. If you finish the song successfully, the crew will give you the crew card. The first crew the player meets is Riptide, which consists of Amelia from the first Dance Central game and the new dancer Bodhi. Bodhi is a positive and friendly guy. Like his fellow crew member Amelia, he has athleticism in him that is apparent, but he shows a lot more compassion when speaking. He is also very chill in his mannerism, but delivers powerful movements when he's performing. Besides being a dancer, he's also a lifeguard. Riptide is a sporty and athletic crew. Their primary color is red because of their crew look outfits and their crew card. When approaching them at the beach, Amelia tells the player that auditions for the crew were last week and as such declines the player from moving forward. However, Bodhi hears there is untapped potential in the player and gives them a chance, with Amelia following fourth right after. Once the player completes Riptide's challenges, Amelia allows the player to rep for the crew anytime. Bodhi also gives a warning to them, stating that there are other crews in the city and some of them are not friendly. Then gives the player Riptide's crew card. The next crew after Riptide is Flash Forward. A girl crew consists of Tay and her younger sister Lilty. The Their primary colors are green and yellow. The crew is presented as fun and energetic, with a unique and sassy dance style. Lilty is Tae's younger sister. Lilty is vivacious, spunky, and truthful. She is not afraid to speak her mind and does it with huge ambition. However, she has a tendency to say things without giving them much thought, and that appears to be due to a lack of maturity. The hat Lilty has on it in her crew look is the same hat Tae wore in her primary look in the first Dance Central. It is possible that Tae gave it to her as a symbol of her noticing her desire to follow in her footsteps. When approaching them at the mini golf court, Tae notices that this is the dancer Bodhi was talking to them about. Lilty chimes in on the player's wardrobe, and then they offer them a chance to rep their crew. Once the player completes Flash Forward's challenges, Lilty wonders if the player is related to them and compliments their dancing. Tae, on the other hand, tells her if the dancing was hot enough to take on the glitterati, to which Lilty boldly replies that she is not afraid of them.
I ain't scared of some pale prima dramas living in a skyscraper.
Yeah, say that again tonight, girl, without your nightlight.
Tae then gives the player the crew card and finishes off by advising them to stay focused and continue being themselves. After Flash Forward, we have Flash Crew, a crew that consists of 2 dancers from the previous Dance Central games, Angel and Miss Aubrey. The crew is presented as being very wealthy and having a luxurious style. It is implied that their lifestyle is primarily funded by Miss Aubrey, as Angel previously stated that he was poor in the first Dance Central game. Angel has a romantic interest in Miss Aubrey and frequently pursues her, but she rejects him each time. Their color is blue and they dance on the yacht that belongs to Miss Aubrey. When approaching them, Angel mistakes them for Wanted's party, but Miss Aubrey corrects him as the person everyone is fawning over. Once the player completes Lush Crew's challenges, Miss Aubrey grants access for the player to rep their crew. Angel gets excited about the new change and uses it as a chance to flirt with Miss Aubrey again, but she declines assertively. Angel then gives the player the crew card. Next, we meet High Def, a crew that consists of 2 guys, Mo and Glitch. They are a b-boy crew that is capable of both street dancing and pop locking. The crew uses a neon rainbow for its color. Glitch is a confident guy who likes to show off in battles. He has a guard if he feels a threat is coming towards him, and assertively maintains it until he feels that it is no longer a threat. Most of the time, though, he likes to kid around, but sometimes takes it too far and will retract his statements when needed. Glitch looks up to Mo and is always happy to help him when it comes to hyping up the crew. The player first encounters High Def at the subway station, where Glitch is talking to Mo about his previous performance. Then notices the player approaching them, then interrupts himself to ask if they are spying for the glitterati.
Hold up. You spying for the glitterati? Trying to jack our swag?
Mo then reassures Glitch that the player only wants to dance with them. Once both of them are impressed with the player's skill, they allow them to rep for their crew, explaining that they prefer to stay underground so the glitterati does not steal their dance moves. Now we get to the most talked about crew in the city, the glitterati. It's a crew that consists of twins, Karif and Jaren. The crew is presented as dramatic, airy, and harsh when speaking. Their primary color is purple, but their clothing style is inspired by Lady Gaga. The Glitterati is the 5th crew the player meets in the game in the crew challenge mode, but they are previously mentioned by other characters, all showing a dislike towards them. Karif is a pricing person who loves mediocrity in talent and style. He is not afraid to point them out and does it in the daunting fashion. Karif appears to be slightly more compassionate and will usually give credit when credit is due.
I'm compelled to congratulate you, and I don't even like you.
Jaren is a pricey person who loves mediocrity in talent and style. She is not afraid to point them out and does it in a daunting fashion. Jaren is more ruthless, often giving out harsher critiques even if success has occurred.
I'm going to take a mental picture and then burn your face out with a match.
When approaching them at the skyscraper, Jaren gives a welcome but mentions that they will be leaving shortly. Karif quickly holds her and gives the situation an image that it would be unfair for someone to make it to the top only to be put back at the bottom in short time. In response, Jaren accepts, but not without saying to the player how awful the experience is going to be for them. Afterward, Karif declares a dance to be performed.
Shall we dance?
Once the player completes the Glitterati's challenges, they allow the player to rap for their crew and comment on how they underestimated them from the beginning. Sharon in particular congratulates them for now being a part of the family and throws the crew card in the air as a token of appreciation. After meeting all 5 crews in the city, it's not the end, because after you get the Glitterati's crew card, you're transported to the airship, where you meet the final boss, Dr. Tan, and his robots named together as Decipher. Decipher is a crew that consists of 2 robots created by Dr. Tan, Scythe 56 and Scythe 78. The numbering of these robots may be with a reference to the 5, 6, 7, 8 countdown before scoring for a routine start. According to Dr. Tan, these robots were supposed to be the best and unbeatable crew, but in reality they're not, as they keep malfunctioning after we finish every song that we had in the final challenge. As the robots get destroyed, the airship starts to collapse and Dr. Tan escapes, stating that he will return again to rule the world of dance. When the player finishes the crew challenge, they unlock Decipher crew, but at medium or hard difficulty, they unlock Decipher Elite crew. Decipher Elite is a crew represented by Dr. Tan and a robot he created, Scythe Elite. The crew is presented as strong with varying styles in dance mastered. Given its name, it appears to be a successor to Decipher. Scythe Elite is also implied to be a part of Tan Industries, which is a company founded by Dr. Tan. It is implied that after the events of Dance Central 2, Dr. Tan created Scythe Elite to be a stronger version of Scythe 56 and Scythe 78, then formed a crew consisting of Scythe Elite and himself. Dr. Tan is a manipulative person who has a strong hatred towards creativity and freedom of expression, wanting dance to be structured and polished instead. He likely prefers it this way due to his interest in ruling and controlling the world of dance, which he attempts to impose onto everyone. He is egoistical and does not back down when he is challenged, but becomes cowardly when forced to face his shortcomings. Regardless of his performance, he believes that he is the best and disregards his own mistakes. He typically acknowledges the player's skill either with the intent of convincing them to join him or in a passive-aggressive manner. This section here is going to be about extra characters. They do not appear in the campaign, but they can be obtainable by connecting to Xbox Live, and you can select them in the character section. So here we are going to talk about 2 extra crews. Ninja crew is a crew represented by ninjas Shinju and Kichi. The crew is presented as silent, letting their moves speak for themselves, while always being prepared for anyone that comes their way. While they do not appear in any story-based modes, they do appear as a playable crew in Dance Central 2 and Dance Central 3. Shinju first appears in Dance Central 1 as Thief Tall Rep. Shinju was added to Dance Central 2 as a playable character on May 1st, 2012 alongside Kichi as a member of Ninja Crew. He is unlocked by connecting to Dance Central 2 servers, which can be done by launching the game while connected to Xbox Live. Not much is known about Kichi. She is very reserved and does not speak. She is skilled in martial arts. Icon Crew is represented by Marcos and Frenchie. The crew is presented as a different crew from most, speaking in their own language that no one besides them understands. While they do not appear in any story-based modes, they do appear as a playable crew in Dance Central 2 and Dance Central 3. Their name comes from the fact that Frenchie appears in Dance Central and Dance Central 3's menus as an icon, showing the routine whenever the player taps on a song for a while. Later on, Marcos also appears in Dance Central 3's menu, usually alongside Frenchie, in little icons for various things. These 2 characters are named after the choreographers for Dance Central. Before we move on to Dance Central 3, I would like to resolve the question about Oblio, Dare, and MacCoy's absence in Dance Central 2. During the events of Dance Central 2, Dare and MacCoy became agents for Dance Central Intelligence, which is an organization that is dedicated to preventing and stopping dance crimes. Yeah, I know that sounds weird, but the whole franchise revolves around dancing, so you have to understand that it's a thing. Moving on, Dare and MacCoy formed a crew together named Decoy, and they were spying on Dr. Tan after he escaped the airship, and now he's doing something suspicious. But then they got caught. Oblio, on the other hand, was kidnapped by Dr. Tan and warned others about the danger in his secret message from his journal. Oblio then got mind-controlled by Dr. Ten, and they formed a crew, Murder of Crows. Alright, now we have Dance Central 3. The story in the story mode of Dance Central 3 involves the player being an agent for Dance Central Intelligence, whose mission is to time travel to different eras and learn dance crazes to combat against Dr. Tan, who plans to take over the dance world with his army and his assistant. Dance Central Intelligence is an organization that is dedicated to preventing and stopping dance crimes. It is led by Raza and Lima. Raza is a member of Dance Central Intelligence, being one of their lead task analysts and time-space experts. He is also the initial voice behind Boomy, the boombox scene in the series. Raza is a polished, sleek person who is typically calm and collected. He authoritatively conducts himself, especially in response to danger. He is firm with DCI's agents regarding missions, but he also cares greatly about their safety and is friendly when there are no pressing matters at hand. Lima is a member of Dance Central Intelligence, being one of their lead task analysts and time-space experts. Lima is a polished and sleek person who cares for those around her. She presents herself as calm and collected, but is quick to alert to danger when it arises. She is extremely intelligent, implying through dialogue that she either was some sort of scientist previously or in addition to becoming an agent, most likely a physicist. And these two together form the DCI crew. The player starts off in an elevator taking them to the DCI headquarters, after being invited to an underground party. When the door opens, they meet Raza and Lima. Raza allows them to dance to see their potential. When they manage to impress the duo, Raza welcomes the player to the agency and explains its private operation. Lima reveals DCA has heard of their skills from many reports about them before Raza tells the player to dance again in order to become an agent for the corporation. Once they succeed in becoming an agent, they learn the situation Dance Central Intelligence has on their hands, an evil plan known as Operation Lockstep. A video discovered by Decoy is produced on the monitor showing Dr. Ten, his army, and his assistant. In the video, Dr. Ten is informed by his assistant that the plan's second phase has started with his army getting all set to invade the dance moves from the 1970s on his orders. He explains that he will soon rule Dance Central Intelligence and permanently take over the world of dance. Lima informs the player that while Dare and MacCoy were able to send DCI the footage, they lost contact with Decoy afterward. Raza and Lima explain to the player that Cruz, Lush, High-Def, Flashforward, and Riptide are being transported back in time to learn the eras to face Dr. Tan. The duo starts to send them via a time machine to the 1970s where Lush Crew is, explaining the process of earning the crazes and getting back to the present while doing so using Boomy, which is a boombox, and they will also use to stay in touch with the player to assist them. At the free skate roller rink, Angel recognizes the player to be brought in by Dance Central Intelligence and tells them about the crew mastering their moves from the era as well as earning some fans. He enjoys his experience at the venue, but on the other hand, Miss Aubrey is not fond of the experience. She begs the player to take her back home. Raza reminds her via Boomy that the crew has to find the dance moves of the era for the craze with the player first. After doing so and returning to the present with Lush, Miss Aubrey thanks them right before she leaves.
Thank you. Now somebody, get this girl to a stylist.
Angel looks at the time machine and follows Miss Aubrey. Raza and Lima tell the player they found info regarding Dr. Ten's army taking over various locations in the city, but are still unsure of how it is growing so fast. Raza sends the player into the 1980s, the era High-Def was sent to. High-Def appears at the Top Rock Avenue and immediately thinks that the player is a challenger, battling them until Raza informs via Boomy that Disay and the player are in the era to take the boys back to headquarters. Glitch gets worried that the era will be demolished for construction if they leave, but Mo reminds him that he is only deflecting this because he vomited while they traveled in the time stream, and he has to focus on his priorities with the mission. When they learn the dance craze, they take High-Def home. Glitch feels queasy, presumably from vomiting in the time stream again. Mo ensures him to brush it off and practice doing this headspin somewhere. much to Glitch's disappointment. Lima tells the player that Dr. Ten's army is occurring due to a mind control device affecting each of its members. In addition to this, DCI was also able to track Decoy down, but they found them under the same devices used in Dr. Ten's army. Just then, an alert comes in, stating that Dr. Ten is aiming for the corporation next, and Lima loads up an analysis on the mind control device right later. The analysis will take a while to load, so in the meantime, Russell sends the player to the era Flash Forward was sent to, the 1990s. When arriving at Invite Only, specifically Tay and Lil T's childhood home, Tay welcomes the player with Lil T, stating that the girls were able to figure out the moves and later on came up with their own entitled The House Party. Just as they start to show off their moves, Lima urges them via Boomy to stop by reminding them to respect the time-space continuum. Once they figure out the craze, they take their sisters back to Dance Central Intelligence, where it's having an emergency.
Maybe we should have cleaned up before we left. Mom and Dad are gonna kill us.
Girl, you weren't even born yet. And what is going on around here?
Meanwhile, Disa is scrambling around at the panic of the corporation when they received a video message from Dr. Tan. He calls to check on the agency's state, with Rasa shutting down Dr. Tan thought of him stopping their central intelligence. After the message is over, Lima tells the player to get moving right away. She and Rasa lead them to the time machine to head into the 2000s era, where Riptide crew was sent to. During their time there, Riptide is busy being co-hosts of Dance Central Live, a dance television show set in the studio 675. When the player arrives at the studio, Emilia and Bodhi inform them that they are focusing on the show and its fans, but Lima and Rasa scold them via Boomy to come back to the present immediately. Later on, after all the moves of the era are found, Rasa alerts the crew that Dr. Ten has invaded their central intelligence before he gets cut off. Realizing the danger, Riptide crew works faster to help the player look for the dance moves. When they finish figuring out the dance craze, they head back home with Riptide to the headquarters, where they find it empty. Bodhi wonders where everyone is, and suddenly he and Amelia get taken by two mysterious figures. At the main control center, the player finds Rosa and Lima unresponsive. They receive another video message issued by Dr. Tan. In this one, he tells the player that he used Dance Central Intelligence time machine to set the 4 crews to prehistoric times where the dinosaurs will eat all of them, and he has settled down in the future. He reveals Lima and Raza are now being part of his army via his mind control devices before he finishes his message. Just as the player is done fighting against DCI in the dance battle, the analysis of the device is complete. The computer states the way to break the mind control devices is through swag or creative expression, specifically the player's own dance moves. Then the player frees the DCI crew from dance control. Lima figures out his weakness, imitation. As a result, she and Razat help the player learn the craze of the present. When they finish, the duo sends them to the future, where they will defeat Dr. Ten while they go rescue the crews in prehistoric times. At the crow's nest, Dr. Ten welcomes the player to it as Tantopia, a place where the dance is structured and unaffected by creativity, praises his successful plan, and introduces his assistant, revealed to be Oblio, who has a mind control device on him the whole time and is also Dr. Ten's son.
My son, denounce personal expression. Submit to the will of the leader.
After dancing to 5 Aero Craze songs, Dr. Ten challenges the player to the most difficult dance of all time, OMG by Usher. After the song, Oblio breaks free from the mind control. He realizes his freedom of expression was violated and asks his father what did he do.
Father, what have you done?
Dr. Ten explains that he did it so that they could take over the dance world together, but Oblio does not accept this. He tells the player to battle Dr. Ten in a freestyle dance battle in order to defeat him. Within the freestyle that takes place in the time stream, Dr. Ten starts to lose confidence in himself and eventually gets trapped in the time stream after he is defeated by the player. The player returns to the DCI headquarters and meets Raza and Lima. They inform him that all crews have been saved and the world is finally in peace. The duo gives the player the next mission in getting the party started, celebrating with everyone after doing so by dancing. While the crews were at the DCI, the Glitterati crew is looking over the city inside the skyscraper. planning an attack on the DCI. Jaren suggests that their schedule is enough for the twins to create some mischief. Karif agrees, and the two edge closer to the window while laughing at the thought of doing their mischievous plans. This scene happens after we skip the credits. In the credits we get pixel art of the characters hanging out at the headquarters just after they got rescued by the DCI crew in a prehistoric era, because we can see Lottie holding a dinosaur's egg behind her back. We also can see Dr. Tan trapped in a time stream. Oblio is contemplating while the crows are flying in the background, and the glitterati are looking at the city in their penthouse. So now we have Dance Central Spotlight, and before we begin, I want to say in this section there will be more theories than canon. Have you ever wondered what if Dr. Tan really took over the world of dance? Well, I think this game might answer the theory that Dance Central Spotlight might have an alternative timeline, because it might be possible that Dance Central Spotlight takes place where Dr. Tan took over the dancing world, because on the main menu screen it says that his company might be involved in this, because we know that Dr. Tan lacks creativity and despises it. Also, we get an interesting fact that the Dance Central Metropolis is located between Run Record and Ninja Swag Center. Probably that's where the ninja crew comes from. I would like to mention that there's a section called Classified after you select a song. As you know, in this game we have 6 characters, and those 6 dancers have also colorful suits as unlockable outfits that looks like literally from Power Rangers. And there might be a theory that in this timeline they act like superheroes to save the city. These suits can be unlocked when you collect 600 dance moves. Before I finish, I would like to mention that all the moves were recycled from the trilogy. To answer why, I came across this article from the official blog of the creators of the franchise. It says, "We are able to look at the movesets we've used before and come up with combinations we will be using in real life, and take those and put them in the game without having to get motion capture for everything. The old method of having to capture every single routine from scratch, even routines that relied heavily on dance moves we would already motion captured multiple times, meant every routine took several months and a huge team of people to create. We can now make more routines in less time without having to rush or cut quality to do so. Unlike in the old days, where once a move was motion captured, it was too late to go back to make any changes. Routines can now be refined until they are exactly what we want." So I guess they couldn't make routines from scratch like they did previously, because the motion capture process takes a lot of time and there was a deadline or something. I don't know, but I understand what they were trying to do. But fans' reactions say otherwise, as a lot of people did not like the idea of dancing the same moves that we knew from the past games. And for this game, we honestly expected to have something new. And yes, I know we have 8 routines from every song to choose from, but not all of them are good. I find this disappointing in my opinion. Alright, let's go to the last section, which is Dance Central VR. The story takes place at a nightclub named Dance Central. Before the game's release, we can find a comic that gives a small backstory. So in the first volume, we find out that Mo and Glitch are waiting together in line at the entry of the club Dance Central. But Glitch is doubtful that they might let him in because he has a fake ID, meaning that he is still a minor. So I can assume that the Dance Central VR era takes place a few years later after the Dance Central 3 events. Mo reassures Glitch that if they won't let him in, they both won't enter either. But then when they get their IDs checked by Hart, who is a bouncer of the club, also a new dancer in the Dance Central universe. Hart is a bouncer of the club Dance Central. She makes sure to keep everything in order and doesn't break the club's rules, even if they might be strict, as she doesn't want to lose her job. Outside of her shift, she is known to be guarded when approached. After some time, she removes her guard and we get to know that she is empathic and kind. Back to the comic, Hart can tell Glitch has a fake ID because Misery was spelled wrong.
Yes, that is a fake ID. I'm not new here, and last I checked, Missouri had 1 O.
And there's the word sample on the ID, meaning that they did not even bother to edit a few sections to make it more legit. So after Glitch got rejected, Mo, instead of staying with him like he promised earlier, he went to the club by himself and left Glitch behind the doors of the club. Then Glitch gets a text from Aubrey asking where is he, and Glitch replies that he won't get in. At the club, Miss Aubrey passes Hart by, and she knows about Glitch being out of the club. In the VIP room, Miss Aubrey is surprised by Amelia's post on social media to provoke her about bangs, and in response, she made a new post that is directed towards Amelia, while she was dancing at the club. And Amelia shows Ruit, who works as a DJ, their social media beef. Meanwhile, Aubrey walks around the club to have some privacy. She unexpectedly finds the studio room where she spots Oblio meditating. Aubrey gets intimidated by Oblio's stare and says random things that make her flustered. Then she runs away, and Oblio doesn't say anything about it. After the incident, Oblio stands on the balcony and gets a message from the unknown caller demanding to talk to him. But he doesn't reply. Instead, he throws his phone away and it gets cracked. It seems he recognized from whom this message was. He climbs down through the fire escape and rides on a motorcycle towards an unknown destination. Even though his phone got cracked, it's still working as there's another message that says he's the only person who can control the club's fate, meaning that the club might be closed. In the final volume, we get a retrospective of how Hart got her job as a bouncer in the club. We can see Hart in her job interview, and the recruiter is actually Karif, who is wearing a suit and glasses. Karif was quite skeptical about hiring her, but she stood up and proved to him that she is very qualified for this job, and that way she got hired. When the player enters the club for the first time, they meet Amelia on the main floor. She teaches the player simple movements and exchanges the contacts with them. Later, she says to have fun before the club closes.
Gotta get some dancing in before this place closes down, right?
The player meets other dancers in the club, Mo at the bar, Miss Aubrey in the VIP room, and Hart at the entrance. Everyone shares the rumors about the club's closing and speculations on what it is going to be after shutting it down. The player meets Oblio at a dance studio. Once there, we see Oblio talking to someone on the phone. We hear him arguing with a caller, and then he throws his phone on the floor and kneels, contemplating. After a moment, he turns over his shoulder and stands up, saying he's glad to provide any dance advice when needed.
If there are moves you wish to study, I would gladly be of service. Otherwise, I have a great deal on my mind.
Amelia sends a voice message to the player saying that she wants to throw a big party at the club before it gets closed.
Dude, I have the best idea. If this club is gonna close and turn into an old-fashioned candy company, gross, we need to have one last epic dance party. You, me, Hart, Mo, Oblio, and Aubrey too, I guess. We all bring one killer new move to show off, and we give Dance Central the send-off it deserves. What do you say, you in? Text me. Everybody wants to know if you're coming.
So as you can tell, everyone spread rumors about the club's closing and what it's going to turn into, as there were many speculations from other dancers. Mo thinks the club might turn into a shovel factory or an ice cream factory. Miss Aubrey thinks the club might turn into a Christmas ornament warehouse for old people, or specialty condos for dental assistants, or a shark training facility. Don't ask why. Amelia thinks the club might turn into a old-fashioned candy company or a staple gun test range. Hart thinks it will turn into a skate park for dogs, and Oblio thinks it will be a smell factory. I don't know what that means. Meanwhile, we get to witness the drama around the club and learn the characters' backstories. Hart is more like a sideline in the plot. She's sharing her thoughts with the player about the dramas around the dancers. Apparently, Miss Aubrey has a huge crush on Oblio and gets flustered when someone mentions him, and she also fantasizes about him.
I mean, of course Oblio has his whole leather jacket, mopey daddy issues thing that, annoyingly, works for me.
But it's a one-sided crush, as Oblio has no clue about it, but he mentioned that he doesn't like to stay in the VIP. Aubrey gets jealous when she notices that Oblio is close with the player, but after some time she eventually gets over with him, as she concludes that they were incompatible with each other. Miss Aubrey says that her arrogance and confidence are a farce to cover her insecurities. Over the time, she begins to realize that she has become obsessed with what other people think of her to a stressful degree and begins to distance herself from what other people may think about her. She also reveals that she used to be friends with Amelia when they were little. She said the relationship started to fall apart when, without a thought, she chanted an insult about Amelia during the basketball match. In defense, she wanted her to quit basketball and spend more time with her. But eventually, things didn't go well as she would have thought.
Okay, so maybe I have some inkling of why Amelia tends to pick on me. It's possible that it stems from this incident in 6th grade at one of her basketball games when I might have led the entire school in a chant of, Amelia, Amelia, her pit smell will kill ya. Admittedly not my finest hour. But in my defense, basketball is very boring, and I wanted her to quit so we could hang out more. It's possible I should have apologized at some point for that.
Amelia started to bully and play pranks on Aubrey as an act of revenge. Amelia said that Aubrey used to steal her crushes on purpose, and then she shows the picture of her and Aubrey when they were little, proving that they used to get along very well. She also shares that Aubrey helped her through difficult times when her parents split up. She also shares that she used to hook up with Angel, but it was a one-time thing, and Aubrey knows nothing about it. However, after some time, Amelia realizes that Aubrey is not that mean, and she finds nice things about her, and realizes that she went too far with her actions. Miss Aubrey eventually realizes she made a mistake and apologizes to Amelia for that incident.
Hey, so the craziest thing just happened, and I had to share. Aubrey just came by and told me she was sorry for this drama that happened back when we were kids. Like, out of nowhere. I have to admit, she was pretty nice about it.
Then they slowly renew their friendship.
I know you've kind of been harping on me about this, and I just wanted to let you know, I'm gonna stop being so anti-Aubrey and just be cool from now on. She might have some rough edges, but she's got a good heart. You've definitely made me realize I was being kind of a butt, so thanks. You rule.
As Mo develops a closer friendship with the player, he makes numerous attempts to romance with other people at the club by pretending to be an unauthentic version of himself. Over time, he begins to realize that the player does not approve of his behavior and apologizes, confessing that he was trying to impress them. He and the player then make a promise to be honest with one another.
Hey, so I'm kind of getting an impression that you think I'm feeling myself a little too much. I know. And I don't want to be like that. I don't know. I'm trying to impress you, I guess. I just want you to think, whatever, it's stupid. Look, if you keep being real with me, I'll keep it 100 with you, cool? For real, for real. Later.
After the player receives Oblio's contact information, he apologizes for the initial meeting.
I would like to formally apologize for my behavior when we met. I was dealing with some personal matters. I should not have let that hang over our introduction like a storm cloud.
As he befriends the player, he reveals more details about himself, like he does not practice martial arts when everyone assumes he is. He confesses that he didn't grow up with his father, and didn't know that he might be a mad scientist who wants to take over the world of dance.
Growing up, I always wondered what my father was like. I thought he must be a man of tremendous zen, perhaps a master woodworker or motorcycle inventor. In getting to know the man behind the mystery, I have been somewhat dismayed by his continued enthusiasm for the art of world domination.
He says he finds people disappointing as his interests are different from others. For example, he doesn't like reality television, while others talk about them non-stop.
It must be said that I have had some trouble getting to know people in the past. They are so frequently disappointing, and I find that they talk far too much about reality television programs. I'm only interested in the one about the mafia spouses.
He is very cautious and constantly apologizes when he gets out of his comfort zone. At a certain point, when the player becomes friends with all the characters, they get teleported to the main floor where they meet all the dancers. As they were organizing the last dance party before the mysterious club closing, suddenly Dr. Ten appears on the screen. He turns out to be the owner of the club and wants to close it. At the same time, he demands his son Oblio to completely lose interest in dancing.
The mystery club owner is my father, Dr. Ten.
That's right! I purchased Dance Central, and I'm more than willing to keep it open, as long as my son renounces his interest in improvisational dance.
Father,
Yes, Oblio, it's about time.
Oh, no.
No. You can just go ahead and close the club, sir. Because this man is a dancer. For life.
Hart and other dancers stand up for him, telling the elder that he can't close the club. After this scene, their last party begins, where the player will dance with the character with whom they have a strongest connection to their favorite song. After the dance, Dr. Ten says that from tomorrow the club will be closed and he intends to turn into a laser tag center exclusively for rich people. Then he hangs up. Oblio feels devastated and doesn't know what to do. The other dancers reassure him, saying they will support him. Suddenly, the player's phone rings, and an unknown number is displayed. Whether they want it or not, the player has to answer, and it turns out it's Dr. Ten again, who says he saw their dance and was impressed. He admits that he wasn't the best father in the world and made many mistakes. He didn't want to hurt his son and decided that he wouldn't sell the club for now and hung up, leaving the dancers confused.
So, what was that all about?
So after the last dance in the club, everything seems like it starts to go back to normal, but with a few exceptions. Before the events of Dance Central VR, Dr. Ten escapes the time stream and returns to the present day. The details of how did he so are unknown. Not even Dr. Ten appears to know how he escaped. After some time, Dr. Ten starts texting us, although he mostly insults his son via messages. Oblio tries to tolerate his behaviors despite all of what happened in the past. Amelia says that she and Aubrey start to get along well with each other. Mo is becoming himself and is very friendly towards the player, and says he misses Glitch, and probably would reach out to him. I believe he wants to apologize for what happened at the entry, but who knows. Hart says she feels more included with the dancers and is very much open with everyone. Lastly, the glitterati cannot be seen in the game. However, at the bar of the club, there are designed banners with their logo and names, implying that they are working at the club alongside Dr. Tan. And also they are mentioned in the text messages. And there are some Easter eggs about the screw in the game. So the Dance Central timeline looks like this. Everything goes chronologically except for Spotlight, as it has an alternative timeline. Dance Central VR is just pretty much a few years after Dance Central 3 events, because Glitch in this timeline is still a minor. And yeah, that's it. I hope this video was helpful for you. Thank you for watching and see you all next time. Bye.